So you really need to understand startup costs, right? Because from time to time, we'll have people, it's coming up to year end, and they'll say, I'm going to start a business. So they spend a ton of money right before year end thinking they're going to get this big write-off. Well, then we have to explain to them how startup costs aren't deductible. So what are startup costs? So those are all the costs that you incur before you actually, until the business actually starts, right? Before you open the door. So say that's like a retail store. It's all the costs that go into getting that retail store up and running, like advertising costs before you open the doors, training employees, their salaries, travel costs to look for the store location, hiring and paying consultants to help you set up the store. All these things that are incurred prior to the doors opening are what's called startup costs. And unfortunately, the startup costs are not deductible, right? That what the IRS says you have to do is that you have to accumulate those costs as an asset on the balance sheet called startup costs, and then you amortize those over 15 years. Now, the IRS does give you a little bit of money. They allow you to deduct up to $5,000 in the year in which the business starts, but that's if. So you can deduct that $5,000, but once your costs hit $50,000, that $5,000 is reduced dollar for dollar all the way up to until the $5,000 is gone. So basically, if you have $55,000 in startup costs, you can't deduct it. You can't take that $5,000 deduction in the first year. Now, you don't lose any of this, right? You just don't get to take it all at once. You have to amortize it, and you'll take that expense over the next 15 years. So you'll take that 50 grand divided by 15, and that's what you'll take over the next 15 years. So it's real important to know that because we see that happen. People get up around into December, I'm going to start a new business. They start shelling out a bunch of money and counting on the big tax deduction. And then we have to have that discussion that, hey, you don't get to deduct that because you didn't start the business actually until January. And that's when we'll be able to take, only go be able to take $5 grand. And then we have to amortize the rest over 15 years.
Yeah, it really comes down to a big timing issue. When did you open? And then also, like, it's not all a big one-time pop in 1 year. It's a lot of times it's going to get written off over a number of years. So really good information. I know that's that comes up a lot in our discussions with our new business owners, helping navigate those startup cost waters and what's going to be deductible, what's not, how it's going to be written off. So I appreciate you going through that with us, Ray. And if you guys like this video, feel free to hit the subscribe button at the bottom of the channel here and give us a call if you have any questions.